After an embarrassing loss to Oklahoma and falling to 3-4 in the season, it's time we had an honest conversation about Shane Beamer. Should he be on the hot seat? I don't know. But what I do know is that he owes South Carolina fans two things: an explanation and an apology. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Sunday. It's a great day. The sun came up, God is good, all the above. But we have a good show for you today, and it's going to be a little bit more subdued, and it's going to be in a different route than I've probably taken since I've started the show last July. But I'm excited for y'all to be here, and I appreciate everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to everydayers. Remember, guys, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Do us a favor, like and subscribe. The subscriptions on and the subs on YouTube have gone through the roof. And the best way to help us grow the channel, as always, is commenting and telling us your thoughts on good takes, bad takes, and anything in between. This episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. We're going to get into something I haven't really done too much on this show since I took it over on today's episode, and that is we're going to chastise and criticize and be honest, not the honest part because I feel like I've done that, but we're going to critique and criticize some things that deserve to be critiqued and criticized with this staff, and specifically Shane Beamer. We're going to start there, and we're going to see where the show takes us. And I want to start by saying a couple of things. One, we're going to try to do some shared screen stuff in here, show some audio clips from his press conference yesterday. Because if I'm being honest, the only thing more embarrassing than yesterday's performance was the way he conducted himself in the post-game press conference. And I want to start by probably setting a few parameters and saying some things that I probably shouldn't feel like I even have to do. But I love this job, and I love what I get to do, and I respect the crap out of Shane Beamer and the staff. No part of me is going to sit here and tell you I think he should be on the hot seat, because I don't think he should be. I understand the frustration. I get the frustration. But that doesn't mean he is above criticism, and it doesn't mean that you get to conduct yourself in a way, especially towards the media, because they ask a question that you don't like, or more importantly, you don't want to give an honest answer to, that you would respond in a way that is belittling and demeaning and also downright crappy towards another person that is also justifiably frustrated with the performance of your football team. I love this job. I love what I get to do. And I tell you what, one very fine line I feel like people in the media have a really difficult time trying to walk in this day and age is, it's really cool. You get all this access and you get to do all these fun things, and you get to cover teams and talk to players and coaches and all that kind of stuff. And there are some administrations, I'm not saying this is South Carolina, but just doing it around the SEC over the past nearly a decade, you see some teams that will usher in some of the local media and try to have them under their wing and be nice. And you also see media that also downright have it out for certain coaches and stuff like that. It's a weird little web that's being woven from both sides. I feel like there's a lot of people around the country that don't love to really get into specifically negative things for fear that they are going to be pushed away or looked down on, or, so in some situations, even in the SEC, blacklisted from like a media thing. I don't think any of that's in play here. But I do say all that to tell you this. We're not going to sugarcoat stuff the rest of the way. I've been so amped up this entire offseason. The expectations are so high, and I was so bought into what this is going to be, or what I thought it was going to be. And I feel like I led the listeners astray a little bit and said, man, this team can go to the playoff. And I was clearly wrong. I was clearly wrong about some of my takes. And here's the thing. If you were to say that to me, it would be hard to hear, because I pride myself on wanting to be able to be objective and honest and know what I'm talking about. But if you were to sit here and tell me that before the season, hey, man, that take you had about South Carolina being a playoff team and how good they're going to be because of this, and Shula can do this and that, it would be hard to hear. It would also be deserved. And I say that to get into this part where yesterday at Shane Beamer's press conference, his entire reaction to Jack Veltri was unbelievably unprofessional, and also wrong, just flat out wrong. The idea that you are going into a press conference after you got your ass kicked. You got your ass kicked. That's the one cuss word I think we're allowed to say on here. 26-7 by an Oklahoma team that, let's be very honest, is pretty limited offensively. They couldn't run the football on anybody. They ran it down your throat for the first half of the football game. And you showed time and time again you had no answers or even the ability to be creative or smart enough to get out of the continuous rock bottom that you seem to find offensively every single week. It's the opposite of new heights. It's a new low each week offensively. Everyone watching knows what the answer is. And it's not just that you have 3 offensive linemen that are out and 3 more that got injured. That's tough to deal with. Dylan Stewart only played 6 snaps the entire game. Maybe the best edge rusher in the country. No help because he's out. You're very limited in terms of depth. You're very limited in terms of like how the attrition, how bad it's been, and who you can run out there to go play and field like 11 dudes on offense. I get it. But somebody asking you a question about what we have watched with our own 2, or in my case 4 eyes for 7 weeks, and you want to come at this reporter and say, next question, I've already addressed it, I'm doing this, like I'm above reproach, I'm above you even asking me or challenging me or even questioning my decision making. Shane, I love you, dude. I love you. I think you're a great coach. I think you're a great fit for here. I am maybe stupid enough to believe that you can still take this program to the heights that they want to be at. I really do. You have the resources are there. It seems like the jump you've made in your first couple of years. But here's the plain, simple truth. It's not just about yesterday. It's about this entire season. This season, and there's still 5 games left, is an abject failure already. Even if you were to get to 8-4, it's an abject failure already. The ceiling of this team is the Music City Bowl. And that's with a potential top 10 draft pick at quarterback. Can you imagine what other teams around the country could do with Lenore Sellers? And let me put a different position on that question. Could you imagine what Lenore Sellers could do with a competent offensive line and a competent offensive coordinator? You have ruined this kid's last year in college, most likely. For what? Because we don't want to fire Mike Shula? Because we're worried that like, no. We had a great week of practice, man. We had a great week of practice. Awesome. Guess what happens at the end of practice? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a baseball analogy because I play baseball, okay? If I go to practice and I am ripping the effing cover off the ball, and every single time we go in an inter squad or we go into batting practice or simulated practice or whatever, and I am just lacing one hops off the gap to gap the entire time, going 3 for 4, I'm taking 2, I like hitting bombs, whatever you want to say. If all that happens and then I go out on Saturday, game day, and I go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, that's bad. Now, I would expect the first time it happens, you to say, well, listen, it's fine. It happens. Like everyone has a bad game. If I did that for 7 straight weeks, or at least, 4 to 5 out of those 7 weeks, metaphorically speaking, I would expect you to bench me, call me out, and say, this isn't good enough, because guess what, Shane? This isn't good enough. There's plenty more. There's plenty more to get off my chest, and we're also going to show you and let you listen to the actual clip of what was said, just so you can get a good listen yourself if you haven't already seen it on social media or if you watched it live. Before we do that, let me take a breath, because I get excited. It's my cross to bear. One day I'll calm down. Maybe when I'm 40. It's not going to be today. Before we go to break, I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends at FanDuel. Listen, I've told you guys this time and time again. Best time to join FanDuel is right now. They have a fantastic deal going on right now where new users, if you sign up and you put down a $5 bet and it wins, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's awesome. Everything's at your fingertips, up to the minute lines, up to the minute stats. The moment I saw the South Carolina team total go up to 19.5, meaning they would have to score more than 19.5 points for my bet or for the over to hit. I hammered the under, as sad as it was to say, but it was a great bet. I did all of that at FanDuel.com. What are you waiting for? $5 to win $300. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends at Quo. One of the tools that helps make a huge difference for business owners is Quo. Formerly OpenPhone, it's the same business phone system you have heard me talk about before, just the new name. Here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. You're not Kevin Gates. You don't need 2 phones. You know what I mean? Get Quo. I love Quo, formerly known as OpenPhone, because it lets your team share one number and collaborate on calls, texts, anything in between, and a shared inbox so no customer gets left hanging. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be right back with more of Locked On Gamecocks right after this. All right, we're going to try something here, and I'm going to share my screen so you can hear and see what was said yesterday, okay? Now, hold on. Let me make sure I have this right and queued up. This is Shane Beamer's press conference from yesterday, and this is what he said. There we go. On the right thing. All right. Yesterday, the questions that were asked, I thought were very fair. They were very fair. I'm going to just kind of skip through the first part here and tell you what his responses were. Because again, there are pretty logical views to have with this by saying like it's fair of Shane Beamer to defend his team and say, man, we're beat up, we're bruised, we got a lot of people out, you got 3 starters out in the offensive line. But I will also tell you, as somebody that has to make post the SEC availability report for every SEC game every week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I mean, buddy, Florida's had 13 players on that list for like 3 weeks. I think it just got down to 9. It's the lowest they've had all season. You're not like every team has issues. Okay. Here's where we are with what was said yesterday.
This game go out. It's not ideal, David. But yes, we know we needed to get the ball in the perimeter. We did that on the first play of the game. We needed to get the ball out in space. We did that with some of the perimeter throws to receivers, but not being able to, line up and run the ball downhill like we need to certainly was a challenge to do that today. I made a change last week, Jack.
And then I'm talking about the play calling.
Every week we're continuing to look at how to be better, and every week I do that, and every week I will continue to do that and continue to evaluate that.
What gives you hope that the play
Next question.
Okay.
Earlier in the press conference, he asked a question, and we're going to get into this afterwards. I just want to keep playing this. This is where he cut him off and said, next question. I evaluate that. And then in typical Beamer fashion, and again, love the dude to death, but in typical Beamer fashion, dude, I get it. I get that you're frustrated. But that doesn't mean that everyone else isn't frustrated. It also doesn't mean that they're not allowed to ask you questions about what they're frustrated about. That's their whole job. And it's your job to answer them.
Jordan. What gives me hope? I see the way we practice during the week. What gives me hope? I see the number of guys that we had out today that I wasn't even sure was going to be able to play, that fought their asses off to get back out there and get healthy and be able to play today. What gives me hope? I know the talent we have on our offense. And what I just told our team, we're not playing up to our potential right now. I
love this.
am not getting the most out of this team right now, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
After the change at offensive line coach, how do you feel like that group played today? And
we were better in regards to just going out there and being able to turn it loose. Only 4 penalties. One of those was on the punt team. So I thought they did a better job of just relaxing and going and playing. I told you guys all week, I mean, this isn't the ideal scenario for the new offensive line coach to be debuting when you're down 3 starters against that front 7. Nobody has run the ball against them. But, I thought we did some good things, certainly, as the game went on and we got worn down.
All right, so here's the first reaction to this. And, hold on. There's some things in there that I thought you said were poignant and fine and whatever. I know Shane Beamer's frustrated. And I know that there's a lot of times I think that when somebody talked to me right after I was frustrated about something, that's exactly how I would respond. I get it. Like, I fully get it. Like, listen, BetterHelp used to be, I think, one of our sponsors. Anybody that's ever been in therapy before, that's called projecting. Like, you're upset about something and you are issuing and responding in a way that's not in line or justified to what the question being asked is or how their energy is. So I get it. It happens all the time. Everyone does it. And you're also like, it's a tough situation for a coach to come in off a embarrassing loss when he already knows the frustration, all that kind of stuff, and then comes into a spot where it's like, all right, lost 26-7. I know what the questions are going to be. I don't know how to answer them, because without just saying what I agree with you guys, Shula's got to go, and this is crappy. They suck with this, blah, blah, blah. Without saying any of that, you're probably not going to get a ton of thank you or like good responses or like appreciation even. And you're going to go into a 10 to 15, sometimes 20-minute post-game press conference where the mood in there is going to only get more irritated and elevated. So that's not an easy spot for him to be in. But here's the thing. We are all tired of hearing how well they played in practice. We're all tired of hearing like, yeah, we were in good spots. And what he also said, which I think was before this last one I just showed, but what he also said about the play calling was one of the most frustrating responses I've ever heard. I'm going to play it for you well, let me figure this out. I'm going to play it for you right now. Okay, this was the response that I disliked the most. And I'm just going to play it for you so you can hear it first.
Lenoris is in shotgun. Can you explain the thought process of having him in shotgun and handing it off when there's 1 yard?
Yeah, if he's under center, you guys are probably asking why is Lenoris Sellers under center, because y'all were saying that after the first play of the game last week against LSU when he was under center and we ran a little pin and pull or crack toss play and we fumbled the exchange. Whether he's under center or in the shotgun, Jordan, the plays that we were running, they're designed to hit downhill. So whether he takes the snap from under center and backs up and it's highly unlikely that you're going to line up and quarterback sneak it in from 2 yards. So those are downhill runs with multiple tight ends in there that we want to be able to knock them back. So whether he's catching the ball in the shotgun and handing it off, or whether he's under center and coming backwards to the running back, the play should hit the same way. And that's why.
So here's the thing. This was my response to this. It's a very reasonable question. It's a very reasonable question that was asked to Shane Beamer there. And here's where he went wrong, in my opinion, of how he answered that question. Somebody said, listen, you're first and goal from the 1. Let's also point out real quick, it was a blessing to even be there. You had to have 2 personal foul pass interference penalties to get you down there. You had another one, you first and goal from the 2. And he says, well, yeah, you guys were upset last week because we was under center, and look what happened. You know why they were upset last week? Because he was under center on the first play of the game, and they fumbled. You got to stop on the first series in Death Valley, and you fumbled inside your own 20 on your first offensive play. Do you know why they're upset about being under center? Because the bottom line is this. The frustration that's been building over and over and over again, waiting for something different to happen, and something more creative or just a different wrinkle or something else than what we've seen offensively for the last however many weeks, on your first opportunity to display to everyone, hey, no, for real, like this week in practice was a lot better. Watch this. It was a under center snap to the quarterback that was fumbled, and they recovered it on the 17-yard line, and you're already one series in, one play in, you are already playing catch up. You're already having to play from behind. Sitting here and saying, well, you guys were upset last week when he was under the center and now you're wondering why he's in shotgun. You know what the real question that should have been asked is? One, you trying to dunk on a reporter by saying, well, you guys were upset about this, when both of the outcomes were crap, a fumble and then getting stopped. If both of them were crap, the question was, and he brought this up, he goes, well, I mean, whether he's in shotgun handing it off or if he's under center handing it off, you're still trying to get downhill. Here's a better question. Why the hell is he handing it off? Why is it 3rd and goal or 1st and goal from the 9-yard line and there's 3 straight run plays and none of them are designed runs or keepers from Lenora Sellers? Why is the clear-cut best player on your team, and it's not even remotely close at this point, why is he consistently taken out of situations that could benefit the team? I don't even know how else to explain it. Like, yeah, well, even if he hands it off to him, he's going to get downhill. Or if he's in shotgun, either way, he's going to get downhill. Why is he handing it off at all? What page of the playbook just has, hey, 16, just keep it. Just go do what you do and run through someone's effing face? Like, we're not crazy, man. We're not crazy. I feel crazy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It's the Zoolander meme. This is supposed to be a calm episode. This whole thing is supposed to be a calm episode. So the fact that that was the response, and now you are inside this, I feel like, internal, resentful back and forth between the media and between Shane Beamer. And that's not a good place to be for either side. It's not a good place to be from either side. But here's what I also know. If that is how it's going to be, it's going to get much worse. It's going to get much worse. Because I tell you what, guys, if you thought that 26-7, when they thought there was an inkling of hope, was embarrassing, now you have Alabama coming to town, who's the number 4 team in America. And I promise you, they might not run the football all over you. They will find a way because everyone else has. But they will throw the ball all over the field. And again, you are in a situation, remember last year, you were in a completely different spot. You were in uncharted waters. You are in uncharted waters right now. Last year, you were in the same situation with uncharted waters, but it was in the middle of a 6-game winning streak. People wanting to come play for you. You finally getting like the respect you feel like you deserve because it's like, look what we've been able to build here. I told you it wasn't a fluke when we beat Tennessee and Clemson back-to-back and all that kind of stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Like, told you that wasn't a fluke. Right. Like, that's how you're able to keep players like Dylan Stewart for another year and Lenora Sellers and all that. But, like, here's the thing. There's also a whole other roster you have to build. You didn't go out and get a dynamic receiver in the portal. Why? Because you thought that all these freshmen you're bringing in, you were going to be good enough. Where are they? They're not playing. Like, if you would have gone out and said, hey, the freshman receiver weren't ready. Nick Harbor didn't turn the corner. Dylan Stewart got a little bit negated because the other side, they weren't able to rush the passer as well. So we didn't have like the double or the, what am I trying to say here? Like a bookend combo like they had last year with Kennard and him. It was just him and he's getting double teamed. Or if you would have said, hey, like the linebackers are learning on the fly and they kind of struggled. They obviously weren't as good or experienced as the ones we had last year. Or if you would have said the defensive tackle situation and interior defensive line was going to be an issue and they're too thin. If any combination of those things would have been the reason why, it would have been understandable. Like if you would say like, yeah, like, you know what? It's understandable. But I tell you what's not understandable. I don't see any sort of we're not seeing Lenora Sellers. Taylor Green in the offense that Arkansas is running is putting up historical numbers. Like not really historical, but like 350 yards per game, leads the SEC. Throwing for touchdowns, running for touchdowns, involved in every single play. We're halfway through the season. It's very obvious the run game is not going to get going. We have yet to see a game where you're going to just unleash, hey, Lenoris, go win a ball game. Or like go do what you do. Yesterday there was a play where he was running for his life. And it was late in, I think, the second half, and he's rolling out to his right, just trying to find somewhere to throw it away. Because in this case, he wasn't able to run it out of bounds for no reason. and take a 5-yard loss like he did twice earlier in the game. So he just throws it away. He has no help. There's no intermediate routes. Everyone that's on like in a route is running like 30 yards downfield. It's a microcosm for everything that's happened this season. It's an abject failure. And like, listen, sometimes that happens. Like it happened in 2023, and you had to build off from it. But I tell you, the first thing that has to happen, if you're ever going to improve in anything, if you're ever going to take a positive step forward when you're continuously sliding back, this is a life lesson anybody can listen to. The first thing that has to happen is you have to look yourself in the mirror and actually and honestly and objectively acknowledge that there's a problem. And there's a big effing problem right now. There's several. So you got to figure out a way to get it out. How crooked is this picture back here? What is going on? You have to figure a way to get it out or to figure it out. We have one more segment, and I'm going to say one thing about the coaching change and whether he should be on the hot seat or not. Some of you are going to like it. Some of you aren't, but it needs to be said. Locked On Gamecocks continues right after this. All right. Before we get into the final segment of the day, let's give a quick shout out, pay some more bills. Our last one for the day. Monarch Money. Gosh, guys, I tell you what, a lifesaver Monarch Money has been. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what we're worth. Between 401k, savings, investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. I tell you what, it's been really helpful. I told you guys this when I started using it before. I was saving up for the ring for Allie. It helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, get a better handle on my investments, or lack thereof at the time, without having to touch a single spreadsheet, which I love. They also have these visual dashboards and smart tools that make it so much easier to understand where my money's going, how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, I want to close with this, and we're going to do a longer show on it tomorrow. There's more and more rumblings, and I don't know how legitimate they are, but they're going to be louder and louder as the season goes on, because I can tell you right now, there's very little possibility of winning the next 3 games. Maybe this one, I think this one this weekend, or maybe A&M is the most winnable. But you need to figure out a way to like keep the ship afloat and people not jump overboard. That's honestly, I think, what the focus needs to be the rest of the year. How do you keep everyone on board? Because that transfer portal is coming, guys. It's coming. It's going to open. And you know just as well as I know, it's going to be hard to figure out how many people are staying. I raved all last season how good of a job they did with retention, and they did, and they deserve credit for that. And I tell you what, you can learn a lot from failures. There's a Nick Saban quote that he used to always say, and I thought it was always really good, and that was, never waste a loss. Never waste a loss. Don't sit here and like it. Losing sucks, but you know what sucks even more? Getting beat twice because you got beat once. Sulking and not figuring out like how to improve and how to fix whatever happened that caused the loss. So figure it out. Figure it out. Like we could be down here in the trenches of a terrible, terrible like end of this season, but don't use that as a reason for this thing to fall further down and not, oh boy, and not fix. Oh boy. I just got an update literally about what we're talking about. Shane Beamer said he feels extremely supported by South Carolina AD Jeremiah Donati, as he should, and Deputy AD Jeff Crane. Shane Beamer said he spoke to the team today about the Virginia Tech rumors and assured them that this is where he wants to be. So we're going to get into a full show on this later. I might just record it tonight and break it up and put it up there tomorrow morning. I don't know. But here's the main takeaway that I want to not tease you with, but could just explain for tomorrow or for that show. There is the doomsday scenario here because Billy Napier got fired from Florida. Mike Gundy's gone to Oklahoma State. The guy at Virginia Tech, obviously. And Virginia Tech, they're putting NDAs out for talking about any of their hiring, news, reports, conversations, completely silent. When that happens, it usually means they've got their guy, or they think they at least know who their guy is that they're going to go after, and they are working in silence on that. And that would almost certainly be Shane Beamer. Now, I believe him when he says he wants to be here. I also, this is speculation, and I'm probably going to catch some heat from it, but just judging by the way he acts, and I'm guilty of it too, but judging by the way he acts, yeah, we already also heard from Brad Crawford that if he feels like there's a growing friction between the fan base and them wanting him to be there, or people in the administration wanting him to be there versus not wanting to be there, that Virginia Tech job looks a lot more enticing, and he will entertain those conversations. Basically, be nice to me, or I'm going to take my ball and leave. I can easily see that happening. The doomsday scenario here is this. I do not think you need to put Shane Beamer on the hot seat. I don't think he needs to be gone at all. I think we've seen him do it before. We saw him go 5-7 in 2023, and then win 9 games next year. But the doomsday scenario is Florida is going to go after Lane Kiffin and Marcus Freeman, which is delusional, but they are. And they are most likely going to end up with James Franklin. Or Florida State, who's going to end up having to invest $100 million in this year's, coaching search, because of what it's going to cost to get a new one, and also to get out of their Mike Norvell thing. They've fallen to 3-4, 3-5, I think, and just lost to Stanford. So they are going to also be going after James Franklin. He's not the only person on the hot board. Eli Drinkwitz, he could go to Florida. My point is this. This is going to be a coaching carousel like we have never seen before. Not just in the SEC. You've already got 2 guys down, but the Arkansas job, the Florida job, the Auburn job, I think, is almost certainly going to be open. The Kentucky job is very likely to be open if they can figure out a way to pay Stoops. Who else knows what happens in the ACC? There are going to be jobs and let's be clear, jobs that are going to be viewed and perceived as much better than South Carolina that come open. And if you are sitting here putting all your trust that Shane Beamer is wanting to stay, and then something happens where he decides to leave and everyone else has made their hire, that's the doomsday scenario. The doomsday scenario is you get left with your hands, or head in your hands, and been like, well, now our coach left. He said he was going to stay. Everyone else said that everyone else has already made their hires. We couldn't go after those guys because we had we were working and operating from the standpoint of thinking that he was absolutely going to stay. And sometimes that happens. If he goes to Virginia Tech, it's an understandable move. That's has to be where his heart is. It's where he went. It's where his dad's from. I get all that. I also believe he wants to be here. But when mama calls, you go, right? I get it. The concern, the biggest concern from all this is, if he leaves, are you in position where you are ahead of the curve or working from behind in terms of figuring out who to get as the next person in charge here? Because I tell you what, some of you aren't going to like this, and you're wrong, but James Franklin would be a phenomenal hire if that was the case. There are other John Summerall from Tulane would be awesome. I don't know how interested these people would be in this job. I don't know. I'm just saying there are people that you could talk me into, and I'd be like, yeah, I want Shane to be here. But there are also people that if something happened where he left, I'd be like, oh, I would be okay with this. It'd be great. It'd be a great hire. There are plenty of places or names like that. You have to make sure the fate of this program rests on it, in my opinion. You have to make sure that no matter what happens, you are not left out in the cold because you put your trust in something that was untrustworthy. And I'm not saying Shane Beamer is that, but it is very important that you are not working from behind in case catastrophe hits and we're in a coaching search that we never wanted to be in. That's all I'll say. We'll have more on that show, more on that on the show tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday evening, Monday morning, whenever you're listening to this. Appreciate you all so much. It's been a tough weekend, but you guys make all of it worthwhile. And I appreciate the comments yesterday in the show. The live show was a lot of fun. We'll do it again this Saturday. I don't know how happy we'll be, but we'll be there either way. Until then, go Cox.